Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, and with best wishes to my good viewers, younger people, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Salahuddin Chaudhry, with part 2 of the narrative or the title Overpopulation and Explosive Matter, in connection with the 11th July World Population Day recognized by the United Nations. So this is part 2, ladies and gentlemen. Major factors responsible for high population growth are high fertility, low contraceptive prevalence ratio, high unsolved need of family planning, decreasing mortality, customs of early marriages, son preference, illiteracy, especially of women, and lack of women empowerment. Religious restrictions, another very important element, beliefs, customs, traditions, and lack of recreational activities. We in Pakistan remain unprepared for rising challenges of uncontrolled growth in population that rises poverty, leaves strain on resources, increases unemployment, and leads to terrorism, extremism, terrorism, fear, etc. Family planning program in countries of Southeast Asia were pretty successful once upon a time. The best results by Japan, followed by China, Korea, Taiwan, and Indonesia. The most important factor has been the strong political will to curb population growth. First country to experience a revolution in reproductive behavior was Japan, with below replacement level fertility by 1960. This was accomplished by massive postponement in age of marriage and rapid reduction in marital fertility. That high fertility was bad for our country and for the family. In such programs did not fully develop or succeed where they met religious opposition, as in the Philippines. Politically expressed ethnic population, as in Malaysia, or feudal social structure, as in Pakistan. Similar programs were later developed in much of North Africa, in Egypt, Morocco, and Tunisia. Majority of countries made dramatic economic breakthroughs in the past 30 years, drastically reducing the average fertility rate. Iran made it from 6.53 to 1.96 in a span of 30 years. Very big difference, very big gap. Bangladesh, down from 6.92 to 2.1 during a span of 40 years. Mind you, Bangladesh, the then East Pakistan, in 1971 was far more compared to the then West Pakistan. It was at that time about 4.75 crore, and West Pakistan was less than that, about 3 point something crore. So huge difference. And now, over the last 40 years, the Bangladesh had made tremendous strides. So Bangladesh went down from 6.92 to 2.1 during a span of 40 years. While Korea it was 1.21, China 1.65, Hong Kong 1.23, and Taiwan 1.1. I'm mentioning these countries were all located in Asia. South Asia and Southeast Asia, all comparable countries in the context of development and capacity. Regrettably, Pakistan has a very high fertility rate of 3.73 for the past 6 years. If not immediately addressed, this single factor could negate every effort Pakistan may make to break away from poverty, hunger, disease, and illiteracy. What a pity. What a pity and very, very shameful. In the late 1980s, Iran's supreme leader issued fatwas. Mind you, this is very, very important. Iran issued fatwas, that is, religious edicts, making birth control widely available and acceptable to conservative Muslims. Mind you, Iran as a nation of conservative Muslims. They, in 1980, long time back, almost about 42 years back, and they issued or made a decision or a policy making birth control widely available and acceptable to conservative Muslims. Under the new decrees, contraceptives could be obtained for free at government clinics, including thousands of new rural health centers. Health workers promoted contraception to increase the gap between births and to reduce maternal and child mortality. Between 1996 and 2016, the average age of marriage for Iranian females increased from 19.8 to 23 and from 23.6 to 27.4 years for males. Interestingly, in case of Bangladesh, it adopted a community-based approach to population planning. Mind you, community-based, not individual, community-based approach to population planning. It was dependent on recruiting married, literate village women trained in basic community health and family planning, going door to door dispensing contraceptive pills and condoms. Local villages had credibly among suspicious and very religious population. Importantly, giving high priority to girls' education, delayed marriages, and gave women higher control in their lives. This is also a very, very important element. Giving preference, giving higher control to the ladies in this particular matter. Now, Pakistan's population predicament is somewhat like this. It has been firmly settled with a very high fertility rate of 3.73, as said earlier, for the past few years. We in Pakistan could not benefit from religion as a vehicle for change and action. Unfortunate. We failed to make population control policies to integrate communities. There was neither easy, free access to contraceptives, nor was the media utilized. Media might be another very important factor, nor was the media utilized for public awareness and guidance. There were no innovative incentives created for those who adhered to a two-child policy. Most importantly, no steps were taken to raise the marriage age for girls to ensure 16 years of education, as provided for in the Constitution. This is all done. It was a must-do thing. 16 years of education before getting married. So, our much-needed break from poverty and disease is critically dependent on the ability to bring down fertility rate and educating girls. Very important. Failure to implement the measures would be a sure recipe for a continued addiction to the IMF, that is International Monetary Fund. Besides, and this is a very relevant subject in the context of today, Pakistan is extremely engrossed in trying to get IMF on its side. Right. So IMF, besides keeping our children vulnerable to what? To stunted growth. Vulnerable to the stunted growth. Crippling impacts of polio, another horrible disease, polio. We cannot get out of it as yet. Acquiring HIV by reused syringes and remaining illiterate. Another very big factor. Our literacy rate is very, very low. Population explosion is a real threat to Pakistan, that is why. According to UN projection, the Pakistan population will grow to over 380 million by the year 2050. Oh my God. Surpassing the United States, Indonesia, Brazil, and Russia to become the world's third largest country behind India and China. Oh my God. What a horrible scenario. At highest population growth rate for any large Asian nation, Pakistan will surely experience dramatic decline in per capita availability of arable land, water, and forest resources. Three most important elements of life anywhere in the world: land, water, and forest resources. Pakistan being one of the high fertility countries with a large proportion of young adults and children, had a population of 33 million in 1950, as I said earlier. It's just to re-emphasize. And its rank at that time was 14th in the world. But today its population has reached around 220 million, making Pakistan fifth most populous country on the face of the earth. My God, terrible. Cannot even imagine what is going to happen. Due to a high increase in the population, Pakistan is facing serious challenges like shortage of water, electricity, jobs, infrastructure, public transportation, health, education, law and order situation, and other social issues prevailing in the society. The population is a big threat. I'm reiterating. Efforts in the past to introduce family planning schemes and greater access to contraceptives met with little success due to a lack of foresight and dilly-dallying in implementation process of policies by successive governments. That is regrettable. Successive governments, along with societal stigma and resistance, another very unfortunate matter, almost stone-aged societal stigma and resistance from right-wing sections. Each time the topic of birth control was brought up and the problem carried on. Shockingly, about half of all married women in the country do not use modern contraceptive methods, resulting in 3.8 million unintended pregnancies each year. Early marriages, the lack of knowledge in contraception, and birth spacing, the timing, have worsened the position. From 1993 to 1998, Pakistan ran a successful family planning program, which was instrumental in reducing fertility rates and increasing contraceptive prevalence. The key element of the program was the recruitment of trained lady health workers. I'm mentioning it again to provide primary health care and family planning services to women at community level, mind you, not at individual level, at community level because it's more organized, more practical. Okay, the LHW, the lady health workers, were pivotal in expanding family planning services to the poor and educating them on the available methods. However, from 2000 onwards, successive governments' attention to family planning programs started to reduce. Again, regrettable and unfortunate. Following the Bangladeshi experience, as most experts say, we got to take effective steps to control population explosion, like number one, reforming education system, especially in relation to family planning. Number two, lifting restriction on TV and print media adverts of condoms and pills to effect family planning initiatives. Only decent educational adverts, not erotic or obscene. Creative, symbolic visuals of condoms will help population control and STD prevention. Number three, promoting tolerance like in a secular society. That is an example which may not be reflective to many. So promoting tolerance like in a secular society, compelling religious groups not to scuttle government policy and directives about family planning. Number five, passing a comprehensive law to make population and family planning compulsory. Population or family planning compulsory. That will be the secret. If we can implement this particular policy and directive, I think a lot of grounds will be gained. For policy formulation and action plan, I must say, about 4 years ago, is mid 2018 that is, a population control and action plan was formulated which were to be presented at the National Task Force established on the advice of the Supreme Court. Mind you, Supreme Court had issued directive in that context. National Task Force, on the advice of the Supreme Court and as per the directives of the Council of Common Interest, another very important platform and forum of the Pakistan government. The documents prepared then as initiated during later part of the then government covered all four provinces, Azad Jammu and Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan (GB), and were to be implemented throughout the country in consultation with UNFPA. The draft called the scheme Pakistan Population Vision 2018-2030. A very wonderful program, a wonderful plan, and very, very, well, it sounds very ambitious, but workable, viable. So, Pakistan Population Vision 2018-2030. During the later part of the previous government, the government prior to PTI government. Well, the targets were set in the plan, wherein the process were to be started, which remains to be seen on the ground now. Again, unfortunate. According to the draft plan, the fertility rate or growth rate would be reduced from 3.6% births to 1.1%. 5%. Really good. The contraceptive prevalence rate increased to 70%, and the child and maternity mortality rates substantially brought down. That is, decreasing population growth rate to 1.5%. Now, it is encouraging to see population and family planning again getting space on the current government's policy agenda. Yet, the scenario as it stands is still grim. We cannot afford to laze and lax and have to move forward. Issues relating to family planning and reproductive health services are complex. Of course, no doubt about it. They are complex and intertwined. Solutions also need to be comprehensive and integrated. Another important factor. The government of Pakistan alone, or rather, the government of Pakistan, along with UNFPA and a host of private NGOs, are working on these issues and many others to contain the population. Population stability may eventually be achieved, but it is time, highlighted, it is time government acted fast. It is time government acted fast with the set political will and goals. It is time we all acted as a nation. It's not just the government. We as a nation ought to do our part as well. It is time we all acted as a nation. Curtailment and containment is the biggest urgency. What? Curtailment of population explosion, growth, and containment to be within the policies is the biggest urgency. Now, the task force on population and family planning has to embark on developing a strategy for controlling population growth, nay, population explosion, not population growth, population explosion, and to guide its implementation. The task force, spearheaded by the center, must act hand in hand, as they have no choice. Absolutely, they have no choice, with all provincial chief executives alongside the newly constituted governing bodies, local governments, and so on. Given the developed governance structure in Pakistan, with the 18th Amendment in place, full force is to be applied. Mind you, full force is to be applied by all and sundry concerned. No malice, but friendship. That is the underlying factor. The policy to your heart. No malice to anyone, but friendship to all. To act in unison with courage and discipline in policy formulation and action plan toward comprehensive family population planning, the task force motto being, we shall do it. What is the motto? We shall do it. Should be the motto. No shying away, no shying away, or else population boom, pop boom, I'm using the phrase, pop boom is going to be like corona, exploding without sound and eating away every cell of our society. In my first part of this narrative, I have told you life is like a dot or a cell. So I'm referring to that. So, we shall do it. Yes, we shall. We have to do it. No shying away, no getting away, or else boom, population explosion is going to be like corona or COVID-19 exploding without sound and fury and eating away every cell of the society. every individual of our society. Horrible. Very bad scenario. We can't do it, can't afford it. So, strong and comprehensive legislation is called for this particular reason. It has to be comprehensive. There are, laws available, but it has to be new comprehensive legislation which is due and must be done, making maximum 2 babies to a couple plan effective. So, 2 babies to 1 couple, this should be the plan, and then population planning or family planning will become effective. Mind you, and mind you all, it is the women, I'm reiterating, I'm emphasizing, it is the women or mothers or both who can and will have to take the lead. It is the women and mothers who can and who will have to take the lead. The secret lies with them. The secret of population growth control lies with them, the women and mothers. That's it. I hope my good viewers, ladies and gentlemen, and my newlyweds, younger people, or who are planning to get married or on the threshold of getting married, please, please, please think about it very seriously. And the ideas and suggestions given in my narrative, please think about those. If you like, rewind and see them again. Listen to those points again. I think you will not only do a favor to yourselves, to your family, to the society, but also to the whole nation of Pakistan. And our growth, our progress, our prosperity depends almost entirely on the control of our population. Because per capita income, GDP, growth, etc., economically cannot happen without this particular approach to living. Thank you very much, my good viewers, for having listened and seeing my narrative. And this was the part 2 of my topic, that is overpopulation and explosive matter. It comes to the end, and I hope I have been able to give you some thoughts, some serious thoughts for you to go into and do a great service to our nation, for the future generation, for you, us, everybody. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum and good evening.